Right down, I've got TS1s down here on the floor, different versions.
You've got a few there.
There's a lot of questions going around, there's a lot of confusion I think. Let's see if we can try and make it, this will probably make it even more confusing, but so we're going to talk about TS1. Why is it here? Why was it late coming out? Was it late coming out? What does it do which is so much better than the others? TS2, TS3 and now TS4, TS4 video coming soon as well. We're going to have to stay indoors for all this because we're going to have to, I want to collect numbers against things. Are you ready for this, Dan?
I'm ready.
Danny on camera there.
Hello everybody.
Let's get stuck in. So it's an 8 gram lighter on average head. So it's a lighter head TS1. It's got a slight draw bias.
Okay.
You've got, so in this one I've got 45 gram stiff shaft. So it's light shaft. And we've also got 360 light, it's a light grip. So everything about this club is trying to say light as. So if it's lighter, what might that do, say, to our swing speed, do you think?
So I think it's going to be subject to each individual. The perception would be that we would start to swing it faster. But from what I've seen with lots of my fittings, that can change. That each individual will react differently to the weight that you put in front of them.
So let's get some base numbers. I'm going to hit the 45 gram shaft TS1 just to kick us off, and then I'm going to compare to some other ones because I actually think TS1's already been here if you are a good enough fitter. And when I look down at it, I see a TS Driver.
It's very TS2 looking.
So yeah, it's
to me.
Yeah,
Nice stretch back.
It's a TS.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about why. Well, let's just hit a few baselines with this.
That feeling any different?
No, it feels the
same. Which is what you would want.
It feels light.
Feels light, yeah.
And I've always liked light. I always try to make my driver. I use a 60 gram shaft, I think, and I've even got the lighter weights in the back of my TS3. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds the same, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Definitely feels like it's got left in it. That number's funny. We'll look at that in a second.
Okay.
So I'm just about to switch this. I'm going to put my shaft in this club now. So TS1, same head, same neck. We've now got my hazardous smoke shaft in, which is a 60 gram shaft for me.
6.0, 60 gram you got in there.
And to be honest with you, it feels nice. The light head on this shaft feels like nice and light.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel as all over light, it feels lighter at the end because obviously I've added more weight almost, you know, through the shaft up to the top.
Yeah.
So I carry on collecting data. Let's just go and check out the actual tech, what Titleist is saying about this club. So when we look at TS1, we're getting an 8 gram lighter head weight in this club. Everything in its design is about keeping it light. Titleist say increase club head speed for those people who react to lighter heads. That's something to remember. You'll watch our test, you'll see not everyone reacts to lighter in the way your brain will just instantly think lighter, you swing faster and vice versa. People are odd. So we get a 275 gram golf club. That's shaft dependent, obviously, but out of the box, if you like, it's coming as light as they can make it to try and give you this speed that the slower swinger in theory might gain something from. Head weight adjustability, I presume in this weight at the back, 4 to 6 grams, 2 gram increments, so you can play with the weight of this head as well. It also has a natural left bias. It's that really friendly, as big as they can make it, as light as they can make it, trying to take the right side out kind of a driver. We get the normal sure fit neck. We do get up to 12.5 degrees on the head on this one, so 1 degree extra loft over the other models, just to give the fitter a few more options to get that loft, get that launch going. And we get the 360 light tall velvet Golf Pride grip. This grip is extremely light, 32 grams, 26 gram in the ladies' weight of the grip. So they're just literally saving weight every given chance to give you an option of having a go of hitting a TS driver and see if it increases your club head speed.
So with you going slightly lighter in your own head,
Yeah.
is this feeling anything similar to that?
This is lighter.
It's gone lighter, a little bit lighter
Feels
again.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting that nice. So in theory this should be swung slower because it's the heavier shaft.
Yeah.
And spin should change because
we
it's a
should
different
see that.
flex and weight shaft as
Yeah.
well, is what people are going to be looking for. A1 setting, still all the same, just
Yeah.
literally flip the shaft.
Okay.
So let's look at the numbers. Club head speed to start, 106.9 with TS1, TS1 with my shaft, 106.2. I'm not reacting to that. Efficiency on both, 1.43. Just, yeah, that's the same really for me. If we go to ball data, we're seeing 13.4, 13.5 launch.
Yeah, it's the same.
We're seeing 2553 spin on my shaft, a 2673 on TS3. Like, that's less than 100 revs, isn't it? Just over 100 revs, it's nothing.
Yeah, but there's one, let me just disable that one a minute.
Yeah.
You've got one
At
there.
3-2 with a miss
3-2, which is a miss hit. If we go, if I just look at...
Yeah, but if you keep that one out for a second, if you do that again, look what happens. You get the spin is almost identical now, and then the distance 258 to 257. So what we're seeing there, TS1 for me feels lighter, and with this shaft it feels lovely and light. Nothing comes out in the data for me. We'll do more testing with other golfers. People always say, oh, you should use appropriate ones, and we'll do some testing with some other golfers. I've got a daughter who can test these because we're just about to do something with her club to compare it a bit more. TS1 is there to make you feel light. If someone responds to a bit of speed, you can get a bit more speed, but you can easily make it a very neutral club as well. Like, I don't get it. It's just like, it's just another option for a fitter to give to someone who wants to feel a certain way. It's just a TS driver. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not better. It's not worse. It's the same. It's just you can make it a bit lighter.
Okay.
Which makes no difference to me, and I'll tell you now, for lots of people down that lens, I've done this test lots with weight and flex with different standards. They don't react. Not everyone reacts the way the black and white marketers want you to think it reacts. TS1 for me, as we stand, we're going to do more testing, is there to give the fitter more options, easier options than maybe what I've done here. Let's show you what I've done here. There they are. So the TS2 is my daughter's.
Okay.
So when TS1 was announced and I looked at what the specs were, I thought, well, I've already got this club. My daughter uses it. So I've now got, these drivers are not fit for me, so what's going to happen is you're not going to see my maxed out numbers. These are going to go shorter and higher and spin more. But they're both going to do, in theory, exactly the same or not.
Yeah.
So I've got a basically 45 gram shaft in both, same length. I've got Fanula's is 1.5 degree up from 11.5.
Okay.
So that makes it up to 13.
Yeah.
And then I can get this one to 0.25 within that. I'm 0.25 over. So this is 0.75 up from 12.5.
Okay. So
that's one of the things to think about with TS1, is they do give you 1 extra degree of loft to work with. Now, if there's anyone out there who's bought a driver in the wrong loft, that's upsetting. Like, what are you doing? I would speak to your fitter. That's not good enough if that is a complaint, which I have seen people like saying, what if I've bought this and I haven't got that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go TS1 to start.
Okay.
So I'm literally just going to try and find some decent strikes.
Okay. So is this now feeling any lighter to the 40 gram shaft that you had?
More just shorter.
Just shorter, yeah. So it's
and obviously it feels more floppy.
Okay.
Because it's a lady's flex opposed to that was a stiff.
Yeah.
So I can feel a different flex as I move it around, like in waggles and stuff. Delivery wise, you know, just feels like it's going to go high and spin more because of basic spin loft understandings, or not. The case may be. Same pattern, it feels like it's going left, but obviously it's closed off.
Yeah.
So I'm now going to flip to Fanula's TS2 that she's gained for a while. TS2.
TS2/1.
So this has got the 45 gram lady shaft, lighter grip, and it's lofted up from 11.5. So that makes it sit closed as well, makes it sit a little left.
Yeah.
So in effect, I've done the same, made it slightly more draw bias for her. She uses it a bit to the right. Added loft, which I've always liked to give her loft, and a lightest I can do, really. So this was, you know, I got this before TS1 was out. So in theory, I'm one of those people who should be thinking, oh, I've gone and bought this. There's now a lighter one which will be better for her. That's annoying.
Yeah.
Shouldn't I, in theory?
Yeah.
Well, let's test it. So again, I'm just trying to find strike, swinging at my speed. Just trying to find strike. Decent hit. Should we look at those numbers?
Yeah. Come on.
So TS1 to what I would call is a TS2 made to be like a TS1 just because I fit it before I knew TS1 was around. So if we look at carry, TS1 232.
Yeah.
Fanula's TS2, which is made to be like a TS1 231.
1 yard.
Yeah. Spin 3-4 with the ladies. So 3,476 in the TS1.
Yeah.
And then the TS2 made to be TS1 3267.
Yeah.
You know, just 200 refs.
So it could
I
be
could
a
test
strike,
that again.
Could be anything, yeah.
Exactly. And then ball speeds 145 to 142, slightly less with Fanula's. But obviously strike's just a fraction better on that occasion. 3 mile an hour difference in ball speed.
Okay.
Nothing else really happening. If we look at off lines, 28 left with TS1 to only 2 left with TS2/1. So the biggest difference I'm seeing in TS1 over TS2 is you've got the potential of a little bit more loft. If you bought the driver with the wrong loft, that would be a shame, and I would question that. And also it's got a bit more draw biased, basically. It's just, it goes more left. Out of these two, I've got the option. Fanula could use whichever one she wants. I'm going to stick with TS2. Do you know why? I don't want her learning with a massive draw bias. I don't mind using a little bit of lie and a little bit of loft up for like half a degree. I don't want her learning with huge amounts of draw bias. I want her to be the player. Really.
Get her as neutral as possible and let her learn and you know, figure it out for herself almost.
So why didn't they all come out at once is a question that flies around when I post questions about this. That's disappointing, isn't it? Some people are maybe missing out.
Yeah, I mean, I've just come out of a lesson with a guy who's been using Titleist clubs for probably about 15 years, and he's always seen his Titleist clubs as a 4-year process for him. So he's got that reassurance that he has every 2 years. There's a new line going to be coming out, and he knows that. When I asked him the question, you know, how do you feel with the new TS1 and 4 coming out, he said, well, I'm not too bothered about the 4, it would never affect me in any way. So he said, but I'm now intrigued with the TS1, and I really would like to have been intrigued with them together, so I can understand from his point of view that he would like to have just tested it to see what it did.
We should get him in and do a video with him on both.
It would have been good to do that,
Yeah, we'll do that. He's local, is he?
He's a local guy, yeah. So that's the only thing that I've heard at this point in time from the TS1 coming out, is someone like him who, he's not upset with Titleist, he's just would like to have tested them together to see if it would have helped him in any way.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's a shame that they've not come out together, but then I also think it's a shame that people aren't understanding, like Fanula's Driver is a TS1 with a little less draw. I mean, literally it's a few people who want the max draw bias one with a little bit of loft. I mean, how many of them are out there with TS products? Because that's the other thing with Titleist as well. TS drivers, I mean, Titleist are famous for not really selling that much to the higher handicap who requires this club.
Yeah.
Again, that's probably why this one is out there, because they want to try and push that part of the market a bit more, because they sell, you know, it's such a professional brand known as, so often players aren't going for that. Do you know what I think TS1 is there mainly for?
Go on.
Now, and this won't win me any friends, but I'm used to that. I think it's there for the fitters who maybe are a fraction lazier. Like, I wasn't lazy with Fanula's club, and you can see I got the numbers almost identical, apart from a bit more draw, which I wouldn't want to give her. If you've got someone who picks up TS2, they hit it, and then they get a lighter one in their hand from a different company, and that feels nicer, why would you not sell the one that feels nicer to the customer? I would.
Yeah.
If I was custom fitting and I gave them a Titleist TS1 or TS2 and I gave them another branded club, Callaway, TaylorMade, Cobra, Mizuno, whatever, and they went, oh, that's lighter, I like the feel of that. Yeah. If the numbers are the same, what they like the feel of, have that one, you're playing it. So if I have the option of just picking this out of the bag, already light, don't have to do much tinkering, and even things like put a lady shaft in, which you know lots of people just don't want to do.
Yeah.
Even though it could be right for them, they don't want Al on their shaft, or they don't want, you know, the ladies' graphics that sometimes comes on them. I think it gives you the option of really a lot more fitting options. It gives the fitter a simpler task, which is a shame it has to be done like that, but I know how golf pros work. It kind of has to be done like that a little bit. So the last question, Danny boy.
Yes.
Why 4 heads? Obviously 4 drivers on the market is, people are saying online, I've seen comments on my Instagram today, very TaylorMade like, very Callaway like. That's what they did, everyone, you know, hammered them for that, which I agree with. I mean, I didn't particularly hammer them for that per se. I hammered them more for kind of saying things that were crazy, like putting wings on the club and stuff like that. But people like to make up their own little worlds. Why 4 heads? That's a lot of heads, isn't it?
It is a lot of heads.
What's the only company out there that had, well, not the only, but the main company that we test a lot with that had a variation of heads? What's the other one?
Callaway have over the years.
2.
TaylorMade.
No, but as in like in the same family. Callaway and TaylorMade are a bit more M1.
Yeah.
M2, so the M family, and not that they do this anymore. Then there's Rocket Balls, and then there's TBZ or whatever. You know, they have like 3 different families, and Callaway used to do that as well. XR, Epic, Rogue,
well,
Big Bertha. It was like, wow, how many can you have?
The only one that I've seen here with the 3 heads is the Rogue, the Callaway Rogue, because you've got the draw bias head.
Yeah, but that's not right, because you've got the Rogue
Sub-Zero,
no, but you've got Rogue and Epic and XR all running at the same time.
Yeah.
There's 3 different families.
3 different families with different ping.
Ping.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, they've had the Max, which I know upset a few people as well.
Yeah.
When that came out, because it obviously went for G400, which was a slightly smaller head than let's say the normal.
Yeah.
And then they went the Max, and then they went the LS Tech, didn't they? And then you've got the SF Tech.
So why 3 heads and why 4 heads?
Because, I mean, we've discussed this, but surely it's because of the more gadgety bits that you start putting on the bottom of the club, screws and things like that, the more weight you're playing around with.
If you want 1 or 2 heads, you need sliding weights.
Yeah.
If you want to give a fitter the options to fit the vast array of customers that are going to walk through that door.
Yeah.
In every company, TaylorMade, Callaway, Titleist, Mizuno, they want to not miss sales because they haven't got the light one or they haven't got the low spin one. Yeah. So if you want 1 or 2 heads, this weight needs to move. Simple as that. There's plenty of companies out there with moving weights and then they have 1 or 2 heads just because they can get the weight to move the centre of gravity only minuscule amounts. They've got 4 heads because apart from going this way and this way with the weight, they're fixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't see it I see it as a TS head.
Yeah.
Like there's one TS driver. There's just 1, 2, 3 and 4 because what weight, stroke, bias, stroke, fitting rounds do we want?
Yeah.
And what spin model? And we can do that, or Titleist could do that, I'm sure, like other companies do, with 1 or 2 heads. But if you start putting nuts and bolts on, you're compromising weight and design in some ways, which is why Ping was so reluctant. I mean, I'm even still a little upset that Ping had movable weight on their driver. I love the fact that they just steered away from that, because they told me that as soon as you put nuts and bolts on it, it compromises the weight. Again, they've done it in a really small, subtle way, which I like, but it still upsets me because they don't. With 3 heads, I think they cover enough bases personally. TS1 is a TS2, but it's not going to be a TS3. We'll talk about TS3 and TS4 when you watch that video, but it's a very similar idea. The same way TS2 and TS1, TS2 and TS3 can be the same club if you want them to be, but they just cross over. They're almost like that.
Yeah.
So you have this little bit either side to give you a bit more fitting. They're not identical and they're not different. They cross.
Yeah. And
then you get a little bit either side. I get why people are unhappy. And post comments down below, let me know what you think. I'm interested. Let's start a debate. Let's talk about it, because I think it's much more to do with education, lack of, and fitting than it is actually that it's a product thing. It's quite funny.
So we're getting close now to this, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know, I've got 4 heads that I fit with here. I've got a couple of other bits with blades, and then moving into the sort of possibly more expensive head in the TMB side of things. But in a way, I've kind of got TS4.
Yeah.
You know, I've then got what, TS2?
Yeah.
Or TS3.
Yeah.
Then I've got TS2, and then I've got TS1 now. So I've kind of got all of this in the iron side of things right the way through the companies, and now we've just got it in the woods. You know, it's no different.
I'll put this out there, it'll be quite interesting. They can come down and meet you and meet us, and we'll have a fit. If anyone's got a TS3 or 2 but they wish they had the 1 or 4, I reckon it would be very easy to show them that you can have that club if it's fit correctly. If it wasn't fitting correctly, that's different at the start. That's a very different discussion which they can have. But like post comment, if you are that person, let me know who you are and we'll try and help you, because I just don't think that person actually exists.
Yeah.
I think it exists in a forum.
Come down, we'll have a little look, put them on camera.
And talk about some fact. It's more draw biased, it's a TS with a bit more draw, and you've got an option of a degree more loft, and you can make it a fraction lighter. And I mean a fraction because Vanula's TS2 is very light. Post comments down below. Let me know what you think.